A very good evening. You're watching another edition of Face to Face here on TV1. And tonight we're joined by yet another presidential candidate, former chairman of the PUCSL. He's none other than Janaka Ratnayake. A very good evening, Mr. Ratnayake, and welcome to Face to Face.
Very good evening.
It's nice to have you here. I mean, you've been here almost all the time with various controversial topics surrounded by you. But today here you are running for presidency as a presidential candidate, an independent candidate. And tonight we have a lot to talk about in terms of politics and the road up to the presidential election. I'd like to start off by asking you now, on the 12th of March, newspapers have reported, and the headline says, Janaka Ratnayake open to supporting a better presidential candidate. And they have quoted you saying, you and your supporters are willing to support any candidate who would be a better choice than himself. But today, here you are seated with me as a candidate for the presidential election. Does that mean that there was no one else better than you?
No, I'm the best.
Indeed, I like...
No, it's not a joke, because I was very open-minded then, even now. What happens is that if I feel that somebody is better than me, as a citizen of this country, I should support him, because we need to make sure that the country is having a huge crisis, although it is not visible to the naked eyes of the people. We have a huge problem at our hand. If anybody is capable or competent than me, I would have definitely supported. But to my knowledge, if you look at all these other 38 except me, I don't think that they have any plan to revive this economy of the country. So therefore I thought that I should compete.
Are you saying that out of the 39 candidates, the other 38, including the
veterans,
major parties, those who represent the major parties like the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, the Sri Lanka Podu Jana Perumana, or even President Ranil Wickremesinghe, are you saying that none of them have a plan? What about those papers that they bring to these tables? I have sat with many of them here. They've come with papers like that and said, this is our plan, this is our economic plan, this is what we will do after we come into power.
We have seen politicians for the last 76 years, including the present lot. And we have seen many mandates of the presidents and the elections. Everything has failed. Now, the country, if you look at today, unlike before, in a severe economic crisis, and basically we are bankrupt. Not basically, we have declared a bankrupt nation. Now, I have been having a chat with another journalist a little while ago, and when I did my A-levels in 1981-82, we were talking about Sri Lanka is a developing country. And he has done his A-levels in 2002, still has learned the same topic that I learned 20 years back, a developing country, probably you as well. Now, we have gone down even further down. Now, the country is being declared as a bankrupt nation. Now, the politicians that you are talking about, the veterans, or maybe the representatives of the leading parties, so they have failed. Since they have failed only, that you need an alternative, a better candidate, because what we have been planning, or what they have planned with, as you see in that, many documents, the policy documents, they talk about, strategic plan, master plan, many things, Even at PCS, I have seen 20 years of a plan for the electricity. But these plans are confined only to the documents. Because the plans are done by someone else, country is run by somebody else. Now, what happens is, now see, if you look at my document, every word of this document is written by me, with the support of the professionals. So, as a leader, you should have a vision, you should have a team, then you should probably, consult each other, but you have to come out with a plan for the country where the leader or the contester, the person who contests, should know about the entire plan. Now, what happens is, now when I was at PCSL, we had a huge debate, because now see, if you say that 60% of your energy should be renewable, then your mandate says 80%. Now, there's a conflict. Since the conflict is there, you can't make it a policy. So, you fight almost 1 year to resolve this problem, and finally you say not 60, not 80, 70. So, these are the policies of these documents that you see. The leader is not aware of anything inside, he is just only a mouthpiece. And the Sri Lankan politics, as you have seen, from DS to Dudley, they are coming from, father to son, husband to wife, mother to daughter, father to son, brother to brother, and things like that. I see that era has to be stopped by not voting for another party who did not get the opportunity before.
So are you indirectly saying that you shouldn't vote for the SLPP candidate because that is nepotism, that is the father and the uncle, and now this time the son? Then you're also silently, indirectly saying you shouldn't vote another party because they have not been in power before?
Yes, they have been in power. Now see, now you become a member of the parliament by the mandate of the people. Now when you are there for 25 years, you should be able to tell the public, come here. They come here maybe for one of your interviews and say that 25 years of my work is this. I have done this for 25 years. Now see, I come here and say that I have had 3 opportunities to lead the government sector. First as the chairman of Merchant Bank, second as the chairman and the CEO of Export Development Board, then the commissioner, the chief commissioner and the chairman of PCSL. So in these 3 places, with the opportunity which was given to me, I have given the best to the people.
But some of them also make allegations against you, saying that those were also political appointments.
Now see, tell me a country where they appoint people to these positions on meritocracy. No, it is part of politics. Now see that the positions are given to people who are connected to them.
So will
sometimes
that
they are affiliated, but what happens is the difference between me and another person would be when I take an assignment, it is only the assignment. I have no affiliation with even the party who appoints me. Now say for example PCSL, I go only by the act of PCSL. At EDB, I go by only the act of EDB. So when I take positions, I clearly tell them, and they obviously know because I know them for many years, and they cannot, come and, meddle around with me. It's impossible. And even the rulers of then and now know that I'm a no-nonsense man. Assignment is given. I do only the assignment. Not even a single appointment will be done at their request. So they know about it. And but still, the opportunities were given to me. I have used it for the betterment of the people every time. Now, these politicians who were there for 48 years, 2 politicians were there in the parliament for 24 years, opposition leader and the other contender. Then there are another 16 members of parliament who are contesting, and there are another 22 political party representatives are contesting for this. All are connected to politics, but you talk to them and see whether they have anything inside to offer to people. They have nothing. They will, chatterbox, they will come and talk because their business, their job is to talk to people and deceive them. Sri Lankan politics is, you just talk to people and give false promises, the things that you can't deliver, but people still believe them. Now the time has come because we have learned a bitter lesson after 76 years that committee is bankrupt. We need to come out, otherwise what happens? We will perish more in the future.
So now you were speaking about you delivering the best with whatever the chance you were given. Let's talk about why you thought of running for presidency. Was it because now you said there was no one better, no better candidate, but what prompted you into getting into politics? Because not like you're going to run for a local government elections or even for parliament. You're straight away aiming at being the president. Why are you taking such a big risk?
No, it's not a risk. It's an opportunity that I talk about. Now see, at PUCSL, everybody knows that I have been trying to work for the people, especially to the electricity consumers. That means almost 100% of the entire population. I was fighting against the president, the government, the cabinet, the ministers and entire parliament to do the justice and the right to the people. Now finally what happened? The first time in the history of Sri Lanka administrative system, they removed a chairman of a commission or an entity with a clear majority votes in the parliament after a debate. So I had that privilege to face it. I'm still taking as a challenge. Then I thought that to do better, to look after the people who are suffering, the only way forward is to contest for the presidency and take it and work. Otherwise, what happens? We have seen, many ministers come and go. I think there are 2 ministers who are fired from the cabinet, contesting. Now, say if you look at last maybe 10, 15 years, ministers will come, ministers will go. Sometimes ministers do not know whether they are
in or
out. Now, say, at least for me, I knew that, they need to come out with a proposal, then you should go to parliament, then you have to debate, then you have to get more than 113, it's a huge process. But to fire a minister is, just a matter of I don't think even sometimes they will tell that you are fired, but instead they will appoint somebody else. Now, it has gone to that level of politics in Sri Lanka. Therefore, if you are looking at further politics in Sri Lanka, you need to have a person who was not into politics. Because politicians, sooner or later, they will get into their own courts and they do the same thing. And end of the day, people have to suffer. Now, we have gone through this sufferance for last 76 years, and it will continue if the people are electing another politicians who run the country, because they have no vision, no knowledge, and therefore they will not know what to do. That's why I thought that since and one more thing, that I am the only candidate out of this 39, including me, who had successfully run a business and government top ranking jobs. And I have managed both equally well. Therefore, I am confident that when the opportunity is given to me on the 21st of next month, I will be a good ruler and I will be a good president who will understand the pulse of the people. Yeah. Why I say that I understand the pulse of the people, I have come from a village. And do you know that, I have, just, revealing to the public that I did my A-levels without electricity at home from a kerosene lamp. And I went to the best schools, best universities, Sri Lanka and outside. I am product of a free education. I started my business, as a entrepreneur, with no money. I have become a billionaire because I have worked hard. And therefore, I feel that, look at my success story. This is a story that every Sri Lankan needs. The opportunity is given, but this politician, I have reached these pinnacles because of my own hard work. But if the opportunities are given to the others, there are 22 million brains. So these brains are basically controlled or make it, like say, illusion that people do not understand the real picture of what is happening over there. And that's why you can see that, when they are having meetings, through that, they are giving the transport, they are giving food, lodging, and the money also to get people, in thousands and thousands to these meetings. And, they use drones, and, in the night, you complicate people saying that, you have huge amount of people, and they enjoy it. Now, see, even people propose, I can get 5,000 people tomorrow to a location, spending 50 million rupees, I can have a big show. But you know that these people are coming not to vote for you, not for your mandate, not for your policies, only for the day. And this politics has to be stopped. And if you go by the number of people who come for these elections, I think somehow already won, no? Now they think that, looking at the crowd, they know that, people are to the Kandy meeting or Hambantara meeting, they come from
all parts of the country,
250 kilometers away in buses, wasting money. Now see, the latest is that, I opposed to the amount that they are asking for the campaigns. So some are asking for 200 rupees, 300 rupees, 500 rupees, 1000 rupees. And they are trying to spend from 3 to 6 billion within next 28 days. For what?
So are we really a bankrupt nation then?
We are a bankrupt nation, and you know that more than 40% of the population is not having 3 meals. But these people, to have big shows, to impress people, to get the vote, they spend a few billions. Now say if they are looking at 2 billion, now the 2 billion is the average price, 1.8 billion is the price that election commission has, approved now, and they are willing to spend up to 6 billion. Now see, the campaign has been running for last 1 year. If the 28 days cost you 2 billion, last 200 days would have cost me another 40 to 50 billion. Now, whose money is this? From where have they earned? This is where the problem is. I told the Election Commission, now say you have agreed for 109 rupees, they have to spend 1.8 billion, no problem. Now you have approved. It's legal. Ask them, from where did they get the money? Whether they have declared this money in their accounts. And who are the donors? And whether they have paid legitimate taxes on these earnings. Because these donations are not tax-free. It's not charity. They have to pay taxes. Now see, if somebody is spending billions of money for the campaign, next question would be, who's funding them? You can say that we got it from remittances. Then yeah, central bank should have the records. Now this is the problem of politics in Sri Lanka. Now it is corrupted and it is unprecedented amount of money that they spend. From where do they get this money? But they say in the same time, my trousers is given by somebody, my shirt is given by somebody, my shoes are there, my transport is given, but they spend billions of money pumping into these elections. So next I'm going to complain to the Inner Revenue also. Go and audit and see from where they get the money. And the donors, who has donated 50 million, whether that person has paid taxes, due taxes. Because now you see a person like you and me as a businessman, of course, we pay taxes, but the employees, the executives, young executives, they are taxed. And they are having tremendous problems. There are no hopes. That's why people are trying to probably, go abroad. Because this place is, now say you can pay taxes provided that you get enough revenues. Your income is up to that level for you to have a nice lifestyle, then you pay taxes, you will be happy. And again, when you pay taxes, you know that the taxes are used for the benefit of the common and for the facilities. But here what happens? Political parties spend billions of money. We do not know from where they have got money. The sources of funds are not declared. So these are the burning problems that we have here.
Of course. We'll talk a little bit about your party, Mr. Ratnayake, the Eksat Lanka Podujana Paksha, and your symbol is supposed to be the teacup. May I ask you, how did you form this party and why have you chosen a teacup?
No. You said I'm a bit of a controversial person. What we do even at the bank, when there was a huge financial crisis, without being bank, I said I am going to manage all the failed companies. So I made sure that the depositors and the people were rescued, bailed out. At EDB, I ran the biggest export symposium and exhibition, inviting me with 3,000 importers from the other countries to country. Then I got all the commercial attaches of embassies down to Colombo without having any approval from the line agencies and trained them to do business like this. Then at PUCSL, it's a very controversial job. I fought against the government, for the people. Now, when it comes to many issues, I think I'm not controversial, but I'm not a fool. I declared my candidacy almost, I was the first to say that I am contesting for the election 1.5 years ago. The day that I was fired from the PCSL. Just to say that, take the power and help the people. Then I've been looking for parties for last 1.5 years. I've spoken to more than 10 parties who were willing to give me nominations. But unfortunately, the amount that they're asking is huge. They're asking 30, 40, 50. One person wanted 200 million.
The party is asking you to pay them?
Pay them. Only for the nomination. Just to put the nomination as the presidential candidate, give me 30 million. Give me 40 million. Go me 50 million. But one person said that person is contesting for the election also. If you need my party, nomination 50 million, party 200 million. Now this, like the ruling politicians, corrupt politicians, the political party owners and the members, the chairmen and the secretaries are doing this as a business. At least we do a legitimate business. I make, apartments, I run hotels, and we make legitimate business, and your owners will run this, the media, the companies, and they make. And we have a legitimate way to make money. But these parties are for democracy, and they are not for sale. But what they do is, we have 84 parties, 80 active, and others are trying to make money out of the situation. And they say, nomination 50 million, give it, but with many conditions. Now, say what happens is, when you are negotiating with them, they come out with something very extraordinary thing that you can even agree with. What happens? Finally, I ended up with Eksat Lanka Podujana Pakshaya. The symbol, the party symbol is cup. I think it's a good symbol because from morning to night, when you wake up, you use a cup to drink. So maybe, it's a common symbol. I don't think that people need any more introduction into that. They come out with extraordinary, unbelievable conditions that you are forced to bring it to the notice of the authorities. And this is what happened. So party came to me. This is, I think, the seventh party that I have been talking and negotiating. Finally, they came. After paying my deposit, they came out with, unnecessary conditions where I felt that as a businessman, as a person with, some brains, that I should not agree, that I should bring it to the notice of the authorities. And it so happened that they were apprehended. And I think people got a wrong message saying that, I was a part of the corruption. No, I was against the corruption. And I think it is anybody's duty. Parties they are to do politics, not to do business. So what has happened is, in Sri Lanka, the politics is a business where people make 30-40 million from a party and billions from when they are ruling. This has to be stopped. And it is our duty even to make the public aware and knowledgeable that, these politicians are corrupt, political party owners are corrupt. They need only money, not to govern the country, to benefit the people, but only for money. This is the problem that we have.
You have listed, I believe, about 22 suggestions, or rather recommendations, which includes the electricity tariff to be reduced by 30%, then fuel prices to be reduced by 150 rupees, and price of domestic gas cylinders to be limited to 2,500. And you have also taken into account the farmers and free education and everything. So now how difficult was it to come up with these 22 points? Since you said this was only purely you who created this, whereas the other parties would have bigger documents.
Now see, I'm a businessman and I have studied economics. And I always talk about numbers, and I know numbers, I think, better than anybody else who's running for this. Now see, what happens is, if I look at maybe the macro aspect of the economy, if you look at our country's income and expenditure, there's a gap of around $8 billion. Now, whoever contesting for this election this time should clearly tell the public, this is my plan to bridge the gap. This is where the game is now. You can say that, I'm going to launch my the mandate on the 26th, the 28th. Before that I have put, R&D, the documents and things like that. Those are rubbish. The reason is that these people have been into politics for 50, 60 years. They should have a clear mandate, even if they knew that the presidential election is coming. Now, the person who's giving the best solution to bridge the gap between income and expenditure, country will never come out of this bankruptcy situation. Now, to earn that 8 to 10 billion, now see, I'm talking about 8 billion is, the balance of trade of around 4 billion and the 4 billion of interest and loan repayment. If somebody can find a way to make this amount, only that you can see a progressive development in the country with your GDP enhancement and things like that. But I don't think that if you talk to the contestants or the candidates, they will not know even the size of the economy.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'd also like to ask you, your point number 9 on this document says it talks about the human-elephant conflict, which has been there for quite some time.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember, but some time back, the farmers of Valsapugala were staging a protest for over 100 days demanding a sustainable solution for the human-elephant conflict. But at that time, we had a government that had a 2/3 majority, but they couldn't provide a solution to these problems.
You think that there's no solution for this?
I'm asking you, if
Yes,
a
there's a
government
solution.
with a 2/3 majority was unable to give a solution, how can the public think that Janaka Ratnayake all by himself is going to be able to provide a sustainable solution?
No, what happens is, now see, I also witnessed that protest. I think they conducted for more than 100 days without any output. It's a waste. And the politicians who have been running this country for last 76 years, or maybe even before, should have known this. And you don't need the rocket science, because we are not sending rockets to the moon, or maybe to space. We are looking at animals and humans. And if they cannot probably find a solution for this simple problem, and how can they develop a country? Now we are looking at maybe around 300 human lives and maybe around 150 elephant lives. And if you look at maybe where it happens, you know, it is not happening all over the countryside. Who were there into parliament? Opposition leader and NPP leader. If the government cannot find solutions, being in parliament, did they find any issues? Solution? Now how can you trust them that when they are coming into power on the 21st of next month, they will have a plan? They had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to run PUCSL for the benefit of the people. They were in the parliament for 24 years.
But they failed.
They failed. So if people think that these people are going to bring the solutions to these burning problems, they are not. You are talking about only human-elephant conflicts. Now you know that how many the microfinancing borrowers are suffering because of the higher interest rates, since it is not regulated. And you talk about the maybe subsidized transportation. See, maybe every other day you may see that the train is derailed or strike, or the way that they are traveling in trains, like almost in India and Pakistan. And they have failed since the independence. These people have not done anything. I'm not talking about, you know, the prices of electricity or fuel or maybe the gas. And you see, now see, if you go through the statistics, almost 12% of people are disabled. And what is the welfare of those people? Now see, we have almost 500,000 people who are gaining pensions. And now say, if they are living with deposits in the bank accounts, rates have come down. How can they live? Now say, they cannot find. Now what is the solution that these people have offered? Now say, 17 members of the parliament are contesting. Ask, why haven't they done anything? They will say that I didn't have a power. No, even from the private bills in the parliament, you can bring good things and others will support. But these people won't do. They are waiting for the entire slice of, you know, flesh. Give me the presidency, I will do. Now, I will say, I have never been into politics. I have, you know, successful the career in business and government, the places. So you need to probably try an alternative candidate who talks the truth, who talks straight and works straight. Sometimes controversial, because controversy has to be there, because otherwise you can't take decisions.
Indeed. We have a lot more to talk about, but we have to toss to a short commercial break. We'll be right back. This is Face to Face on TV1. Welcome back. You're watching Face to Face on TV1. Tonight we're in discussion with former chairman of the PUCSL and also a presidential candidate, Mr. Janaka Ratnayake. Before we went to the short commercial break, we were talking about your policy statement. I'd also like to ask you now, there are 39 candidates who are running for presidency this year. And if we leave you aside, there's still 38 more. Who do you think will be your main competitors out of this 38?
Now see, there are established competitors and there are
newbies and
new ones, and there are many other, you know, having, you know, as a practice to run for the presidency for the sake of running. And 38 is too much, I feel. They have better selection criteria. At least the deposit should be a reasonable one, because now you are drawing undue competition and undue entries because of the deposits, you know, which is, you know, very minimum. And therefore, government has to spend billions of money extra to accommodate these people, and you call it a democracy. Now even sometimes we call everything democracy, you get a person who is rejected from the people and bring them as the president. That's the chronic democracy that we have over here. Too much of democracy is also a problem. And therefore I feel that when the many contenders are there, now you say except me there are 38.
Out of the 38, who are your main competitors? Who do you think will be your strongest?
Now see, there are more than 4 to 5 contenders who have been into politics. And because of them, that countries in this present situation, they are directly and indirectly responsible for that. So I feel the people who are in the major parties, the ruling party, the opposition, the people who have been there for many years, and maybe another losing party, they are the competitors that people will think will run for this. And I will not agree with this, because now people after 76 years being in this situation, I said that 40% of people are not having enough meals. And if they think that they are the major competitors, the voters are making a mistake again. Because they will go and vote and select one out of these few people, and after 1 or 2 years they will say that we made a wrong choice. And there's no way that you can change them, because the Sri Lankan system is that you get somebody for a specific term that he will run unless you chase, like what happened to the former president. And therefore my competition would be with these 4 major other competitors whom they think that they have a legitimate right in running the country. And that legitimacy is gone, because it's a franchise and this voters' choice now. If the voters are not qualified enough or literate enough, they will go and vote for another person, one out of this, and will further suffer. Because this so-called the leading competitors will not have a plan or a vision, because they are part of this corrupt and the failed political parties or dynasties. So therefore people need to make sure that you need to get a competitive alternative. And I call myself is the only alternative. The reason is that I am a person who has become successful in business. I have managed my public job well. I am the only contender out of this 38 who has this qualification. Either you see a failed politician or a businessman who had not managed this both jobs equally. I am the only contender who has managed this. Therefore, people could trust me. And if they trust the same politicians who put us in this trouble, I think it's almost like committing suicide by the entire nation.
But now even the other candidates, if we take for an example, one may say there was no one else to take over the country when we were bankrupt. I stepped in, I took power and somewhat settled the situation we had. Then another one would say, I've done so much being in the opposition, I didn't need power to serve the people. Then the other party might say, out of those who you mentioned, the other party might say, we were not in power, so you have to give us a chance and then we'll prove you right. So people can think you're also saying something similar.
I will probably address one by one. Now you see, I said that too much of democracy. The person who was rejected by people, elected by the failed politicians as the president of the country. Now he will say that we had many issues, especially the power cuts, gas and fuel issue. Therefore, people were sometimes dead in queues waiting for these facilities. Now if you look at the country situation last year, we defaulted our loan payments, and therefore up to now $8.6 billion as the interest and the capital was not paid for last 1 year plus few months. And we talk about the reserves of 5.6 billion, and that is inclusive of Chinese swap loan of 1.5. We have reserves of around 4 billion. We have not paid 8.6 billion. Our reserves are 4 billion. That means we have used $4.6 billion to import gas, fuel, and other essential things. Now you think that is smart economics or governance? You are not paid. Instead, you have used that money to import and neutralize the situation. It is not the development. You look at our economy. Last year -9, this year maybe -1 or 2%. Now these people that person cannot bring any economic development in this country because he has defaulted the payment, not paid. And if you have not paid, if you have made money, at least you should have reserves up to the money that you have not paid as interest and the capital. We have half of that. That means that we have used that to import, and therefore we don't have queues. Now, if you look at gas issue, the domestic gas issue, you need only $25 million per month for the entire imports. Why the former president was unable to import? Because he never knew anything about economics. Finally, World Bank came and gave us a revolving LC where you have 25 million, you bring gas, sell for money, collect and import. It's a little business solution. Then you need around $3 billion to import fuel because you have not paid $8.6 billion. So you have free money that you have got to stabilize situation. Now he said that I am an economic maestro, I have done this rubbish. It is good for the people who do not understand this. Now this is the first one. The second one will say, I spent 500 million out of donated money. We do not know who the donator. I said that the Inland Revenue Department should go behind and search for whom. Then he will come to the Electoral Commission and say that I want to spend 4.5 billion for my campaign. It is not even 20% of the campaign money that has already given. Now you say that he is a better person because he has spent only 20% of what he is trying to spend for the election to become the president. The other one will say, I have been just a parliament member for 24 years, although we had ministerial positions for 1.5 years. We were not given the opportunity because they were given the opportunity. Now say, give an opportunity to me, that I use it for the maximum, the possible way to help the people. Why do you run away when the opportunity was given? Now you give another opportunity, they will say that we couldn't find money, therefore we are running out of the country. So you need to look at the history of these people. Now see, all these three contenders that you are talking about indirectly have failed to perform their basic duties. And electing them again will be a big issue because these people do not have economic plan, and therefore the economy will not be revived and people will further suffer with many difficulties. Did you get a reply?
Of course. Now one can also question you, saying you have so much of knowledge, you have all these solutions for all the problems. Why didn't you run for any election before? Was it because at that time you were good with the Rajapaksas, and then after this fallout, now that you want to get back at them, you're running for presidency?
No. Now see, when I started my the issue with the government, people initially thought that it's a drama. Now say, every move that I make, people misunderstand me because they think that I'm creating, or maybe I'm running, planning with them to do this. No, it is not. Now you see, I told you the clearly fate of our ministers. Now say I become the minister of
Power and Energy. So next day I'll be fired by the president. When you wake up, somebody else is appointed. Now say, becoming even a minister of this country, your job is not guaranteed. You can probably have your own plans because the executive president will decide all those things. But I feel that if you have independent commissions like PUCSL, another 10 of that nature, and chairmen of like me in those positions, this is the policy that we are talking about. Then you can run. Now see, education, health, agriculture, transport, everything is in a mess because politicians are getting involved too much and they ruin it. But if you have good framework, good policies, you can run
the country and the government without politicians.
So you said now you need good policies and good framework, of course, but you also need a good team to run the country, because we have seen in some of the previous cases, the presidents were let down by his own very teams. So you always need a good backing team to be with you to run a country. If we talk about your team, what kind of faces do we see?
You need a visionary leader. Vision is coming from one person in discussion and consultation with many professionals. And if you take, now say for example, the business entity, Sirasa, is managed by either president or a chairman. He gives the vision. And he has hired many professionals to perform the task. Now, how it could be different from private successful entities to a government? Now, you see, when I become the president, I have proven to the people that I am a good leader and good visionary leader. Now, if you can become the president of this country, you don't think that you can find smart people to work? Now, you have your experience in 2019, we had a Vietmaga, damn doctors and professors of many fields. What did they do? Their lack of common sense, they messed up the system within no time. It is not the number game. Now, you see, you talk about Lee Kuan Yew. You talk about Mahathir Mohamad. What is that team? Does anybody know about it?
So you're a lone wolf.
No, I'm not a lonely bison. I am a person who can drive any person to get my task done. Now, say for example, when I go to these government agencies, they have director generals, they have CEOs. I am teaming up with them, understand the culture of that entity, and I get them to my side to run my business, irrespective of what they have been doing with past. Now, in the similar way, now say, when I become the president, now I will not, now say people want to take punitive actions against wrongdoers. You think that the person whoever come into power, these veterans will take that? Because no, they are known to each other. I am not known to anyone. I can take any action. I can imprison them. I can send them to guillotine. I can confiscate the wealth, undeclared wealth. Now, you need to have a system like in Singapore, like in China, like in Korea, where if you can declare your income and the wealth, government will take over. You have to, have the legal system changed to do that type of thing. Because if you think that that person has robbed, you get them by his neck and put inside the prison, or send to guillotine. It's not the solution. You need to get the wealth, undeclared wealth. I go to X, Y, and Z. The people that you mentioned, I'll go to and then that you declare assets, your relations' assets, your colleagues' assets. And if, say, they declare I have 2 billion, now you have to say, how do you earn 2 billion? I'll go to this party who's trying to spend 2 billion. I say, from where do you get 2 billion? You tell me. If you can't tell, there's a punishment, there's a penalty. And it is going up to even their civic rights. So you need a strong leader who can take decisions. Otherwise, what happens is your team members will come and say that, President, you can't do this because, they are connected. Now, say my financing up to now is my own financing. I have not got a single cent from anyone to run my campaign. I will not take it. I run for my own money. And I have a team who will support me to formulate these policies, fine-tune in this. Then we have enough of, I think, you do not underestimate our people. We have 22 million people. We are good in literacy. They are smart fellows. You take around 20% NASA engineers are from us. But you bring one person and say that you have won certain awards. No, those are rubbish. You need to have good people who understand the reality, the ground realities of this country, and have a common local solution for this. You can't import anything from other countries.
Of course. Let's talk a little bit about your campaign. Now, we see that most of the other candidates are running strong social media campaigns and rallies and meetings, and you said you're not fond of any of these rallies and meetings, and that you don't believe in bringing crowds to one place to impress the others. What is your campaign looking like? Are you going and meeting the people, or how is it? How does the mechanism work?
One thing, although I am not a political figure, people know about me. What I have been doing for the last couple of years, especially during my job at PUCSL, how much I tried and even using my own funding to fight with the corrupt and ignorant politicians. And again, when it comes to my campaign, I will not organize any big rallies. What I say is that, you spend 50 million rupees, you can bring 5 to 10,000 people. Then use drones and, in your media briefings, you have, at least I will be guaranteed with 5 minutes, you talk about, get from every angle, and 10, 15 people are talking, and sometimes, these people are paid and invited or brought by force, and they will not understand what you say.
Instead of doing those, what exactly are you planning?
I am taking my message like this now, because people are watching me, and they will believe me because I have done the right thing, and I will use, I'm going to use, from top-down approach, because I do not have a huge mechanism at the grassroots level to use these, entities to collect votes, but I feel that, people are very literate now. Our literacy rate is almost 92%. People are using, social media platforms. I will effectively use social media, and maybe, the impartial TV channels like you, unlike the others, who will give opportunities to the people to voice their thoughts. That's a platform that we use. Now, people should be able to understand the candidates and their motives. And I think people are now know, because unlike last 75 years, this is a bankrupt country. We need economic solution, and we need to have hopes. Now, you talk about these common people of 21 million, they have lost their hopes in every aspect, except, few like us, who are better off, we have made our life out of business.
I'd like to, on that note, I'd like to ask you now, on the 21st, after people cast their votes, if you do become the president, then you can put all of this into action, and we can see a better country. But in the case that you don't make it, what will happen to Janaka Ratnayake next? Will he just go back to being the usual businessman, or will you find another approach to get into politics, or what is your alternative plan?
When I start something, until I see an end, I don't stop. That has been my nature. That's why I have become successful. That's a story that I have to share with the common public and the voters as well. Never give up. And do not wait for opportunity. I will find my way out. If I cannot, as you say, if I cannot get this opportunity, I'll come back strongly and make sure that before end of my life, I will make happy of the other people. So I have a plan. That is plan B. But usually when the plan A is working, plan B is not necessary. So I'm waiting until the right time.
So you're very optimistic, hopeful.
I'm always.
Of course. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you tonight on Face to Face. Mr. Ratnayake, thank you very much for joining us. And we hope you really will be the only alternative as per this document that you have brought with us. We wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today on Face to Face.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap of Face to Face for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow with another episode. Till then, take care and have a great night.